I've dreamed of becoming a chef since I was little, and after finishing high school, I went to culinary school to learn the basics of cooking. Then I went abroad for further training and eventually got hired at an upscale French restaurant in New York. Around that time, thanks to a friend, I met the daughter of a CEO from a first-class company. "Hello, nice to meet you. My name's Amanda." "Nice to meet you too." I was smitten at first sight with her elegant beauty and the way her dazzling attire suited her so well. Luckily, it seemed she took a liking to me too, and we started dating pretty soon after. Life was good until a few months later when my mom fell critically ill. After some tests, it turned out she had cancer. They recommended her a special treatment, but it seems like it's going to cost an arm and a leg. They don't have any shared rooms available for hospitalization, so if she wants to start treatment immediately, she has to use a private room. I was also told that it would be best to have the surgery as soon as possible. I wanted to save my mom no matter what, but she, a single mother, had struggled to raise me and didn't have any substantial savings. I guess I have no choice but to talk with Amanda. With a feeling of clutching at straws, I called her. "Hello, Amanda, Mom's got cancer." "What?" After I explained everything, Amanda conveyed the message to her father, and I was offered a loan for the treatment expenses. In exchange, I was given the condition to quit my job as a chef, join the company he runs, marry Amanda, and eventually become his successor by entering the family. So, I decided to firmly quit my job as a chef and joined his company. Afterward, Amanda and I got married. My mom had a period of recovery due to the chemotherapy, but 5 years later, metastasis to the lungs and liver was found. And despite the treatments, she passed away all too suddenly. I had one misfortune after another. I was demoted to a factory in the sticks. The issue was a major screw-up at work. But it wasn't actually my fault. It was a colleague's mistake. This colleague managed to pin his failure on me. Even after I spoke up, my boss wouldn't believe me, and I ended up taking the fall. The place they sent me to was a real backwater. I had always assumed that my wife, Amanda, would follow me, but "I can't go with you," she said. "What's that supposed to mean? Is there a reason you can't go?" When I pressed for a reason, an utterly shocking truth came to light. Turns out she was having an affair. And to add insult to injury, it was with the colleague who had pinned his mistake on me. "You're kidding me. What a mess." All this time, I believed Amanda loved me. "I'm sorry. I'll pay you alimony, but I want you to break up with me." Her words left me absolutely dumbfounded. Thinking about it, the company probably transferred me to this remote place because the boss got wind of this affair. Maybe the boss, at Amanda's request, decided to get rid of me, an inconvenient obstacle, by sending me away to this far-flung rural area. I was too astounded to even speak. All I wanted was to get away from her as quickly as possible. Soon after, I divorced her, took the alimony, and moved to the rural areas I was assigned to. In this small town, news travels fast, and I was quickly labeled as the guy dumped by the boss's daughter. Being an outsider, I never fit in at the workplace and found myself becoming isolated. At this point, I felt like my life had rock bottom, and I was thoroughly fed up. One evening after 3 months had passed, I was worn out after working overtime, waiting at the bus stop in front of the factory. The ground was covered with large puddles from the sudden downpour that had started earlier. I had a foldable umbrella with me, so I didn't get wet on my way to the bus stop. The forecast had called for just a 20% chance of rain today. As I was mulling this over, waiting for the bus, I heard the sound of splashing footsteps. Looking up, I saw a woman running toward the bus stop. She had a thin handkerchief placed on her head trying to fend off the rain, but it was already drenched, and her hair and clothes were soaking wet. She stepped under the bus stop's roof and sat down on the bench next to me, leaving a bit of space in between. She was dressed in a white floral patterned dress, with raindrops dripping from her long black hair. She looked to be in her late 30s, maybe. A very classy-looking person. I remembered the towel I had left in my bag, pulled it out, and offered it to her. Please feel free to use this if it helps. It's clean. I haven't used it yet." When I spoke up, the woman looked at me with wide eyes, surprised. "I really shouldn't. Don't worry about it. You'll catch a cold if you stay like that." "Are you sure it's okay?" "Yes, please take it." "Thank you very much." She took the towel from my hands and dabbed at her wet hair. Then, she asked me for my contact details. "I'd like to wash the towel and return it to you." "There's no need for that. It's yours to keep." "But I can't just accept it. Could you please give me your contact details?" Since she was insistent, I decided to give her my phone number. "Her name is Ashley," she said. Later on, Ashley called me to a certain place. She said she wanted to treat me to a meal as a thank you for the towel. "I'm sorry for having you to come all this way." When I arrived at the designated place, Ashley was waiting. "No, I feel bad that you were treating me over just a towel." Ashley led me to what appeared to be a small, privately owned restaurant. As we opened the door and entered, a waitress approached us. "Welcome, oh boss, you're back." "Boss?" I was puzzled. "Yes, that's right. This is my place." Ashley said so. "Please, have a seat." I was suggested a seat at the back and settled into an antique chair. The cozy restaurant, with about 30 seats, had landscape paintings here and there, and cute flowers adorned the tables. What a lovely place. "Thank you. Feel free to order any dish you'd like from the menu," she replied, handing me the menu. I chose the stuffed cabbage from the list and placed my order. Ashley came from the back with a paper bag and handed it to me. "This is the towel from that time. Thank you so much for your help." "It was nothing. I feel bad, like I've made you go out of your way." She shook her head and said no. "I really was saved by you then. To be honest, I was in such a state that I couldn't stand it. I even thought about ending it all." Hearing this, I was shocked. What do you mean?" "Well, I lost my husband in a car accident a year ago. He was a chef. Ever since we were dating, he had the dream of owning his own place, and we saved up little by little. Finally, we had enough money saved up to lease a place and we were preparing to open. Just 3 days before the opening, her husband was hit by a drunk driver. Originally, Ashley mourned with grief, but eventually, she decided to carry on her husband's will and open this restaurant. She hired a chef and opened the restaurant, but the customers didn't increase, and she continued to run at a loss. The money dwindled, and the debts piled up. That's why, eventually, I couldn't make ends meet. I was mentally exhausted from the collectors coming day and night. That night, I was returning from visiting my husband's grave. The pouring rain made me feel so hopeless. I impulsively thought about ending my life. But then, when I borrowed the towel from you at the bus stop, I came to my senses. Realizing there was someone who was kind to me, I suddenly found hope. She smiled and continued. "If I went to the other side now, my husband would surely be mad at me. So, I changed my mind. I wanted to fulfill his dream in his stead." Soon after, the stuffed cabbage I ordered was brought to the table. "This is a recipe left by my late husband. Please enjoy," Ashley suggested with an inviting gesture. I cooled the hot stuffed cabbage before taking a bite. It had a nostalgic taste with a new depth, a unique flavor. "It's really delicious." I told her exactly what I was thinking, and she responded with the biggest smile, clearly thrilled. After we finished eating, I made a proposition to her. "Ashley, if it's all right with you, could I help out at this restaurant?" Ashley looked surprised. "Help out? Yeah, I used to be a chef, and like your late husband, I've always dreamed of owning my own place someday. I told her about having to give up that dream to take care of my mom's illness and because of my marriage to my ex-wife. I also shared that my mother had passed away and that I had been abandoned by both my company and my ex, leaving me all alone. I just can't seem to fit in at my current job. It's been a lot to deal with, and I was thinking of quitting anyway. That's why I was determined to get back into cooking. I'm touched by your offer, but right now, this restaurant is running at a loss, and we simply don't have the funds to hire you, Ashley said, looking downcast. I don't need a salary. I'm willing to work for free until the business starts to turn a profit. Could you consider making me a co-manager? At this, Ashley's eyes went wide. Fortunately, I had some savings, and I had been receiving alimony from my ex-wife. Plus, during my time at the restaurant, I would study business and marketing on my days off, thinking about my future dream. When I told her this, she looked at me with eyes full of hope. If that's the case, then absolutely, I would love to have you on board. Ashley extended her hand, and we shook hands firmly. And that's how we became co-managers of the restaurant. First thing I did was start a marketing survey for the area where the restaurant is located. Based on the findings, we revised the restaurant's facade, signage, interior decor, menu, and even the taste and portion sizes of the dishes. Of course, throughout all this, we were careful to faithfully recreate the original recipes of Ashley's late husband. And so, the restaurant floor was reopened after revamping. The team consists of 3 people. There's me, the head chef, and Ashley, the manager who is also a waitress. Then, there's the kitchen assistant, Ashley's niece, called Amber. Before opening, we handed out flyers with discount coupons at the station and made use of a website and cell phone app for promotion, which probably played a part in our success. On the first day, we had a crowd of customers coming. Man, this stuffed cabbage is good. The hashed beef rice over here is really tasty too. Word of mouth about our shop, with its old-fashioned but rich flavors, spread, and the number of customers increased day by day. Our sales exceeded our daily targets, and at this rate, it looked like we'd be able to pay off our debts in no time. I'm totally blown away by how many customers we're getting. They all seem happy and keep saying they'll come back. Ashley said with a big smile as she spoke to me in the kitchen. Just then, I heard news about the company I used to work for. That former colleague who stole my wife had been embezzling company funds. Of course, he was fired and arrested by the police. From what an old acquaintance told me, it seems my ex-wife knew about her husband's crimes and was disowned by her parents, leaving her without a home to return to. Now, she's out on the streets. Hearing that, I felt a deep sense of relief. And then one night, I finally confessed my feelings to Ashley. Ashley, I like you. I understand you haven't forgotten your husband, but I don't mind. Would you go out with me? She blushed and replied, if you're okay with someone like me. Thank you. From now on, I decided in my heart to get through this together with her. That night, after everyone else had left, Ashley and I held hands in the empty restaurant,